Do you have anything, Carl? Chris? Alright. I need a motion to accept that.
Make a motion to approve the financial report.
Need a second?
I'll say that.
All in favor?
Nay.
Nay.
I'll vote aye. All right, regular minute session. Any questions on that? I don't entertain a motion to approve those.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Need a second?
I'll say that.
All in favor?
Nay.
Nay, too late.
I'll vote aye. We need to tonight set a date for a tax hearing. This is something that we do every year, actually controlled by the state. We don't regulate it. We can't set taxes as far as this council is concerned unless we go to the vote of the people, and we don't try. Normally there's a change, but it's very, very minor. Usually like a 0.2% increase or something of that nature. And but it's also required that we have a public hearing on it, and and it needs to be done this month. It also has a time we have to advertise it so many days prior to the hearing, and I think Heather has the date of what and where we be able to do it. I think the 24th is what it's spelled, the soonest that we could probably do it this month. So if everybody's in agreement with that, we'll probably get it set for that day.
You said 24th.
24th.
That's a Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday.
And most times, they last about 5 minutes. We usually have literature here, people can look, but we gotta be here, and if anybody has any questions, we'll try to answer that. But, what time y'all wanna do that on Monday?
6, earlier the better for me.
6, fine me? Okay, also on that, she'll need authorization to advertise that paper. So, and I need that in motion form.
Make the motion, we advertise the tax rate hearing date in the paper.
I'll second.
All in favor? We had talked about trying to advertise, see if we can come up with the CPA that do an audit. That there again would take approval of the board to make that advertising.
On that CPA, to advertise for that CPA audit for 2019, is that on the program-specific audit for the water project, or is that just the combined sewage and water works of the city?
We can try to combine that all together, I guess, if we can. Now, I know that the waterworks project needs its own separate audit,
Yeah, that's,
but this other is just auditing the city books. And if we want to try to do something, if we can get a CPA and then we can cover with them, if they're willing to do separate audits, we can find out our costs and see what we can do. We may have to do one now and then do one a little bit later so we can have the funding to do it. But at either rate, if we're going to do it, we need authorization to advertise for it, see what we come up with. Hopefully by next month, we'll have heard from somebody and see if we can get anybody. In the past, it's always been very difficult to get anybody to bid for it. So.
understood. Just to clarify, this is advertising for a CPA of the combined sewer and water works of the city's books, not the grant money.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion, we advertise, put in the paper for CPA to conduct an audit for city's combined sewer and water works.
Need a second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an invoice from the city of Sikeston, in the amount of $625, and that's for dispatch services. They dispatch not only the fire, but they also dispatch police. That's an annual fee that they hit us with.
That's just fine.
I'm sorry. Pardon me. I added police department, this is fire.
So that there's a separate one also for the police department later in the year, or this is just fire? Okay.
I think we used to get a separate one for the police.
This is for the entire year?
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept the dispatch fees for the city of Sikeston.
You're making the motion that we pay it, or go ahead and pay it. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. All right, I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think the next item is one that Joe kind of found a little controversial, and I think what we've done there, Joe, and I didn't get a chance to try to explain that to you, is that we were trying to put something there, and what that's doing, they should be getting the letter of conditions, the rate that we should be having according to the letter of conditions. Doesn't mean that that's coming up to what we probably need or want, but figured we'd bring it up this way. We need to review it, and if it's something else that we need to add or do or whatever, then whatever the board decides, that's what we do.
And you're talking about the proposed bill 689 on the water rate?
It probably is, Joe, I haven't looked at that, at the actual number, but it's an ordinance that's laying before you, and like I told you, it's something that we don't have to pass tonight. It's to give you an idea of what we're getting into, and then this way, we can amend it the way we need to, and then draw it up again, and the board can review it. And once we've got it to where we want it, we'll send it to Mr. Fox for legal approval, and then it'll come back to the board for passage after that.
Okay.
At that point.
Well, while we're on this, I emailed Heather, I believe Wednesday, asking where she come up with the additional 114 per 1,000 gallons for PWSD3. I have the letter of conditions, and they don't say anything in here about Water District 3. So,
In our agreement with them, when it was set up, we had to give them a 90-day notification before we can raise any increase. And we did that as we raised our rates on this issue that we're working on now. We would tell them. One of the reasons I think they fell behind on their things is because by the time they got to a certain point, they had never raised or given their customers any increase at all. I don't know in any of that as far as the letter of conditions, if that was interjected into that. I think we were just given a total number of rates that we'd be able to charge them.
okay.
When was the last time their rate was increased? Do you know?
They were increased every time that we done ours, they were done too. And that's what I was saying, you know, they got behind on their bill, but they never give a rate increase to their customers.
Their last rate increase, they got a 27.5% rate increase beginning with the March 2019 read date.
And we were giving them the increase, but they wasn't passing that along to the customers. That's the reason they got themselves
Okay.
in this line.
Well, section 1 of this proposed ordinance looks fine. It's just based off the letter of conditions. But Whitney does have here in this letter of conditions dated, I believe this was July 10th of 2017. She says that it will need to be reviewed and adjusted prior to final loan closing. This was a proposed water rate schedule at the time of loan approval. It suggests the following. Has she adjusted it or reviewed it since the loan's closing?
The last time that I talked to Heather, I didn't talk to William himself. But I did ask for a review on that, and this is just prior to this COVID thing. And she was to get back with us, and since then, we hardly had any communication because their office, I guess, is closed, or they don't allow them to come out to the field. I mean, as far as, I know at one time you was trying to request a meeting so we could sit down with her, and her bosses don't allow her to come out, so.
Okay. Well, I would email her, but she told Heather to inform me, and Heather forwarded me the email, that if I had any other questions, I would have to file a Freedom of Information Act request. So, apparently Ms. Watts does not want to speak with me or answer any questions to me. So if you could email her or have Heather email her, but I think it's short-sighted to raise District 3 another 27-28% on their water reading. And you combine that with last year's, or the March 2018 increase, that'd be over 50% that their water rate is going to increase. And they have already said that if their rate increases anymore, they're going to turn the meter off and they're going to start getting their water from Essex. So I think it's very short-sighted to hit them again when there's nothing in the letter of conditions. You know, this letter of conditions was the city, the residents of this town have to carry this bond, the loans. You know, what we get from them is just extra.
Yeah.
And we get a lot from them, from the water sales. So I just went ahead and retyped up the ordinance that Heather had proposed and took out the section 2 and just left it at what the current ordinance 672 states on them, and left their rate at $5 per thousand. So this is something that we need to get passed. The sooner the better.
Well, I mean, if that's what the board wants to do, you can approve that, and then we can be retyped, and like I said, then sent to Joel, so that way we can have it next time we meet.
All right, so since we're meeting on Monday, August the 24th, can we find out from Whitney if the rates that were proposed in the letter of condition is still applicable for us to meet our obligation?
And we can do that, and if that's the case, then we can redo this without section 2. And if that's the way it falls, then we'll go ahead and forward this to Joel. Being that we're meeting on the 24th, what we could do is throw in a special session. We could actually go ahead and have a tax hearing at 6, and like I said, that normally lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. We close out, go into special session, and then in the special session, we'll outline what specific thing that you're going to do. And then if we're going to do this, we can go ahead and put that up so that'll be for approval. But that'll give us also enough time to retype, send it to Joe, get it back, make sure that we've got the report on it, and move forward.
Understood. So by then we'll have from Whitney what we need and can get that typed up.
Yeah.
Sent to Joe.
Heather can get a hold of her and see if that clears. If that clears, we'll make that change. But if that's what we're going to do, then we need someone to move that forward with a motion.
I make a motion that we take proposed bill number 689, get with Whitney Watts and have her review the July 10th, 2017 letter of conditions to make sure that we're meeting our financial obligations on the new water rate increases, and schedule that for a special session on Monday, August 24th at 6:30 p.m.
Did you include, I don't know if I didn't hear you, but on the section 2, did you include that?
Yeah, well, and keep section 2 for PWSD 3 at their current rate according to ordinance 672.
Now, what you just said, you're telling me that in a motion form?
That is correct.
Have a motion on the floor, then yes, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we also discussed the wastewater rates. Wastewater rates was always, in the past, was 50% of whatever the water bill was. And through this thing here, it's, I guess went by the wayside or whatever. You also have a ordinance proposal on that to review, see what you want to do. Basically, the change is putting that back to 50% like it always was.
As opposed to the flat rate it was
Yeah.
$8, was it $8 or something?
I think so.
8.15 or?
8:15, I think.
So on this one, we would just do the same thing that we're going to do with the other ordinance on that Monday night too. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if that's what you want to do. If you guys approve it tonight and that's what you want, then we'll move this and also forward to Joe and have it ready to follow another time. Yes.
This will also change, just so y'all know, the effective read date. It will move it from August to September, because that's going to push us too close to read dates. There's no way we can get it changed. So the rate increase will not be effective until September of
So
2020.
that'll need to be changed on these too, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, understood.
All right, if y'all want to move this one forward, then I need a motion on that. Wastewater.
You need a motion to send it to,
Well, if
Joe?
if you all are in agreement the way that's drawn up as is now, then what we'll do is we'll approve it for tonight. We'll send it to Joe and have it back here ready for 24.
Well, if the rate increase is any different after Whitney
Yeah.
comes up,
Well,
then
there again-
50%, this will change it just slightly.
Yeah, and there again, we'll question that.
Okay, so do you want to motion this, to move this, to vote on
If-
August 24th as
Yes.
well? Okay. I'll make a motion, we move the wastewater ordinance, proposed bill 690 to the special session on Monday, August 24th at 6:30 p.m. And that will be on 50% increase of sewer rate.
All right. Got a motion, you need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. I think the next one is concerning the water meter deposits. These things have stayed basically the same throughout years. The real change is going to be if we wind up with any new meters. There's where the increase comes in. The thing that we also got to watch there, if you remember, if we have to set a meter and have to bolt, that's going to make a difference on, if there's an empty lot, and because empty lots didn't get set, and it may be that it's just an easy tap, but if we run one that's difficult, we just need to make sure that we're able to tell the new customer what the initial cost is.
Go ahead, Joe.
do we have an ordinance in effect that, you know, because these meter deposits will not cover boring costs?
We have ordinances governing these things, but what has happened throughout the years, there's people in this town that have like a $15 meter deposit. Now, and where I'm talking about here is like homeowners. What we have had is the homeowner is always paid like a $25 meter deposit. And the renter right now is setting at 75. One of the reasons for that was because of the billing cycle. For a while, $75 would actually cover almost 2 months, because the way that falls, your shut-off date on your first one, on your first month's rent bill, then you've got almost an added 20 days before the actual shut-off. So you almost have 2 months of water before you're actually shut off. And that's one of the reasons on rental properties we have given the landlords a choice there, because they are held responsible for if I rent to someone and that person runs off without that bill, then I got to pick up the tab before I can lease that out again and it gets the water services. So he has the opportunity to say, I want my water meter deposit to be $100 instead of 75. And if that's the fact, then it's his place to tell his renter, this is what your meter, or your water.
I just had a couple questions about this too, that it doesn't address any commercial accounts. I mean, I don't know, what's the deposit for a commercial customer?
To be honest with you, I can't really bring that to mind. We do have an ordinance concerning that. I'd have to, I hate to say something to you right now and tell you wrong, but we do have revenue. But there again, it's way under par. Actually, for something like that, it's not deposit even as far as connections, you know. Actually, the connect fees in most places is $300 plus. We've been hanging around at $150. And, you know, if you have any problems with that, by the time you get through with your meter and paying your help, you're going to supersede $150. So, you know, that's something that may even need a little further study as far as that. But we do know that they need to be adjusted. And there again, this is for your review. If there's some changes, whatever you all want to try to do, if you want to review that a little longer and hit this one again at the next coming meeting, that way we'll have enough time to get it in there. But eventually we're going to start getting hit with these things. So, you know, once you've taken that, you can't go increase it. I mean, that's just, somebody's paying $25 now and you can't go back and increase it. Now, if that household changes, you can do your increase then. But
would it be possible to add another section on here about commercial customers?
It would.
And make it simple, so that way we can go to one ordinance and see residential and commercial?
we can look up the ordinance and see for what it stands today and let you know, and then that way if you want to, which I know you'll want to increase, there's no doubt. Yeah, she can just put a section on it. We just need to know the increase once we determine the amount that it is now.
So we need to table this one, or what do we need to do? Because there's a lot of unanswered questions here.
Well, I would like to, but I wanted this, you know, brought up tonight, so that way it would give us a chance for everybody, and probably what we could do is try to come up with what we're going to do at this coming up board meeting and get an agreement there, so that way we could get another one typed up and have it ready for the following meeting. That way it wouldn't be delayed 2 months down the road. Because the way if we wait till the following board meeting to do it, then we're going to have to make that approval, and it won't take effect until later.
So Heather's gonna get, you're gonna get some information, or Pete's gonna get some information for us? on the
Commercial deposits, if the owner or the business owner is renting the building, it's 75. If they own the building, it's 25.
See, there again, that's very, very low. So if we wanted to say double that,
What were those numbers again?
75 if they're renting their building for their business,
And basically-
25 if they own.
basically, that's the same thing as residential. Because that's what we have with residential right there. There's no difference. So actually, if you wanted to, and now that you know those numbers, if you wanted to set a rate on it, then that could be added in another section.
And in ordinance, the current ordinance 597, a homeowner's current meter deposit is $25, and a commercial owner
It's 25.
is $25.
And it depends on what type of business that is. Some of them would have a high volume. I mean, just like that car wash. You know, it have a high volume, and the guy owns the building, he pays $25 meter deposit. So what happens if he goes busted and winds up closing the place, and he winds up with a huge bill? You know,
My personal opinion, I think commercial deposits should be higher than
oh yeah,
residential.
there's no doubt. But I said, there again, it's not ever been kept up with time. You know, I agree with you on that. All right, any more comment as how you want to handle that?
I was just gonna say, let's think about it, so let's table this, think about it some more, and try to maybe, at that Monday night meeting, to get a draft in for the next,
Okay.
I would like to see I'd like to kind of see what other towns are doing too, if we can find that information out.
I guarantee you, part of this says $150. $150 is probably cheap in comparison to the towns.
So we'll table this for the 24th meeting, and then maybe we'll have a draft for the 24th meeting, and then maybe can pass it for our next regular board meeting in September.
Yeah, sounds fun. All right, bill number 692. Here again, something that's again controversial. So I drafted, or we had an ordinance drafted up that doesn't make a pay increase, it just changes wording on it. So, we can read it and put it up for a vote, see how things happen.
On this bill here, this is on the mayor's salary. And the wording in this, it gives stipulations that for each meeting missed, the pay is $25 less for each meeting. So by removing this language, you are in effect changing the pay. Because when you keep the pay at $125 without having the stipulation to attend the meetings, you're essentially increasing the pay $25 per meeting.
Well,
And the Missouri Constitution states that you cannot change an elected official's salary during their term. Now, we can vote on this tonight, but it will not take effect until next year's mayoral election.
the thing about it, as far as meetings, instead of going to Blue Hill and going to the Mayor's Association meeting, same thing.
I hear what you're saying there, but that language is not in either of those ordinances, either this proposed bill or the current ordinance, ordinance 435. So this is no good. This has been brought up for 3 years now on you taking $25 for each month of pay when you've not attended the meeting.
Well, it says the meetings are in Malden.
Yes, but they haven't been held, in Malden for years.
Years.
They're now in Dexter.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. This is outdated. We
Yeah.
need to fix it.
All of our ordinances are
No
pretty
kidding.
much outdated. You know, we just, y'all approved last year to spend $8,000 to codify the ordinances, but we're codifying ordinances that are ancient. And, you know, we have checks and balances here in town. The first line of defense is the city clerk who writes the checks, should know all the ordinances. The second line of defense is the city treasurer. And the city treasurer in the audit report from 1992 established the city treasurer. That's our second check and balance. And the third and final check and balance is this board of aldermen. We are to know the ordinances also. And I would add a fourth check and balance on that is the individual that's receiving the paycheck. Their integrity to not cash a check or deposit knowing that they're being overpaid. So,
Well, on that note, there again, I'm still going to meetings. It may not be in accordance to what that says, just like that he was saying about going to Malden. Meetings not at Malden anymore. We're not even members of Bowie Regional Planning Commission. The Madison County Mayor's Association does everything that we do, and it costs us $100 a year to be members down there, where it costs us about $300 a year to be down at Bowie. That's the difference.
And most of those people are at the mayor's.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they come to my office and talk to me from there.
It's the same group.
when was the last Mayor's Association meeting?
It's been what?
I don't know because of COVID.
About 2 months. This COVID thing is kind of stressful because we used to get together and they'd always have a meal and we'd have a speaker or a meeting and advise us about different things, but it's been a while. I haven't been contacted it's been 2 months, I know.
Well, like I said, we can vote on this ordinance, but it is not going to take effect until, because this is in effect changing the elected officials' salary. It won't take effect until after next year's mayor's election, and that's why I asked you in our meeting. I wanted written legal opinions from our city attorney. And as of yet, that's been over a month and a half ago. I've still not gotten a written legal opinion from the city attorney. We can all opine on it all we want, but until an attorney writes a legal opinion, we can't go forward with this.
Is everybody else here?
Well, let's table it.
Is that what y'all want to do?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to table bill number 692.
I'll second.
And the other one was,
You got a motion in a second.
oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
I think Carl's won it. Make one.
Either way, I say aye.
Then we go to Bill 693. Comments, questions?
Well, yeah, the comment I've got about this is of course about the judge's salary of $300 a month. And in here, Part F, it says the salary imposed by this ordinance shall be effective with the back date of July 1st, 2012, to comply with the regular meeting minutes from the June 11th, 2012 meeting. I know Heather had sent each of us members a copy of that meeting minutes back in June of 2012, where it does state that the board then did decide to raise the judge's salary from, I believe it was $150 a month to $300 a month, but it was never put into ordinance form at that time. I don't believe that we can now, as current board members, go back and change and make that all okay, even though that was something that never happened. That should have happened back in 2012, an ordinance been made for raising that judge's salary $300, and if that's what needed to be done back then, it should have been done. It just wasn't done. So I don't like the way this is written as far as that section, that part F is in there.
But that was just put in there because that's of the date that it took effect as far as minutes is concerned.
Yeah, it's saying here it's amending, this bill would be amending ordinance 434. Ordinance 434 on the judge's salary, it's $125 a month, contingent upon court being held twice a month. Now, you guys just voted and passed this month's financials. Even if this ordinance was new and current and in effect, stating that the judge should be paid $300 a month, contingent upon the following stipulations: hold court once monthly. I don't even think we've had court since February. So this board just passed financials where this judge was overpaid, was paid $300, and there wasn't even court, even if this new ordinance was in effect. And when we get sworn in, we swear an oath to follow the laws, not follow a set of minutes that was from 8 years ago. And just on the overpayment of the judge, according to ordinance 434, just the $175 a month that she's been overpaid since 2012, that's $16,800. And so far this year, it's over $1,500 that she's been paid, because she's taken $300 a month every month the court has not been held. I mean, it's disgusting. We just had to take out over $24,000 from our reserve savings to cover past due bills and negative balances, and we're cutting checks to people that did nothing to earn it.
Any other comments?
Say take out paragraph F, section F, and we table it to the 24th.
Make that a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Nay.
Nay.
Obey. All right, and we got bill number 694. That's on the employee handbook.
I would like to table this also because we've never received a revised handbook after the recommended changes that I made, and I don't know if any other board members made or not, but
I think the last time we did that, we never voted to make changes. That needs to be motion for tonight to make what changes is recommended there, so that can be
Okay.
done.
all right, well, let's table this and we'll come up with some recommendations that we'll put into motion.
Everybody agree with that? All right. I think last meeting, Jackie talked to us about a control panel for the lift station on the north, east end of town, and that it needed a controller. I think it gave us some options as to what we could do. I think one of them was that we can do a quick panel in there that we can install ourselves. I think it was to cost somewhere about $1,500. Now, what we're talking about, it carries the actual lift station that's over there. I'm thinking name of the street, but it's over there by where your uncle lives.
Oh, Laurel and.
No, yeah. Anyhow, it carries that whole end of town. And that's one that we've been having trouble with. We finally got it functioning, but it's not to where it can fully run manual without somebody being down there so often. And that's the purpose of that. But I think we had two options. One was like $1,500, and I think the other one was like, I don't
The
remember.
other one was like 3,000, but that was only require an electrician to come install it.
What's the difference other than the price?
Do what?
What's the difference other than the price?
The panel's already set up for the $1,500 one. That's the exact same thing that's in there. On that one, take 4 screws out, 3 plugs, plug the new one back in, bolt it back up, it's good to go.
Is that just a Band-Aid? I mean, is that gonna take care of it for a while, or is that gonna fix it, or?
That should fix it for a while. I mean, later on, when y'all start looking more at the sewer bond issue, you probably need to look at having a whole lot cleaner unit, because there's a lot of components in there that somebody has wired around, and there's a lot of components in there that ain't being used. So the boxes eventually are going to need to be cleaned up, and that would entail the other price. But I think I would hold that off until the sewer bond, you all get to work on that project.
Do you know what it says here, KSB pump lifting bales? Do you know what that is?
The lifting bills, they just put them on the pump when they put it in. It's basically hooks to hook the cables to, so they're easier to pull in and out.
So if they gotta change a pump, it's already attached to it, and they can just hoist it up out of there.
And I think that was included in on that $1,500 quote a month. I'd have to go back and look at it. Or maybe it's a subline underneath of it.
Now, on the 1470 quote, it says it's a Time Mark Model 403 controller, and Bo was showing me down at the main lift station, it's just like a
Yep.
control panel. That's what your understanding is also?
Anyhow, what we need there is approval from the board to go with that. Also included in that is the wastewater doesn't have funding there, it would have to come out of capital improvement.
So this $6,200 that was just transferred over into water and sewer, it doesn't have enough funds to cover this $1,500 part?
I don't think so. This time of year usually is the time of year where we get the least amount of revenue in, and it's a struggle to make it probably through the summer months. I don't know why that way, but it's always been that way.
Well, I mean, going back to the letter of condition, the board knew about this in July 10th of 2017 and should have raised the rates back then. We would have money for this had the previous council followed through and done this. But the can kept getting kicked down the road.
Well, what are you gonna do with it?
So the only difference is the installation cost is about double for the labor. Is that right? Jack?
No. The other panel is twice the cost because you're replacing the whole control panel.
Okay.
And then you gotta add electrician costs to come wire that panel up. So that's not including electrician costs, that's just the panel, the whole panel, not just the controller. The first price of $1,500 is just the controller to go back in the panels that we have now.
What do y'all want to do? Is it just a Band-Aid like you said, Chris, or anything?
That's what it sounds like.
The thing that's in there right now has been functioning now for I don't know how many years.
It's been there since
buy
2000.
one just like it. So, you know, it's going to last for a while. I mean,
So if we go with the 1,500 or the 1,470, you think that'll be long enough to get us through the sewer project?
And it's gonna be, I mean, a quicker option because, you know, one, you're paying overtime and you're taking the chance of burning that brand new pump up. And it's just, like I said, you pull it out, unplug it, and plug it over back in.
But I mean, we just paid $9,000 for the remote. That sucker goes dry, and they get busy out here, something turns up like I told you. If we have a 30-foot geyser going in there, you know, we turn that on, that sucker goes, sucks dry and runs for 3 or 4 hours, you got a messed up motor. And then we just pulled $9,000 down the drain.
I make a motion, we purchase the Time Mark Model 403 controller at a price of $1,470 out of the capital improvement fund.
have a motion on the floor.
Got
Got a second, all in favor? Carl? Okay. All right, on the, any other business, last time we talked about, an operator, never could make contact, to get confirmed with the one application that I had. So, if we still need to seek that, we need the board's approval to advertise, for an operator.
I'll make a motion that you're talking about making a motion?
Yes.
Put in the paper to advertise for that position? I'll make a motion to do that.
Motion on the floor. Second? All in favor? Okay. That's all that I had on my docket. Randy, do you have anything?
I just have a couple things. Back on July 31st, I emailed Heather a few questions that I never got responses back from, and I know she forwarded this, I'd asked her to forward it to you, Mayor, and I think she did. But I haven't got any responses back, and it's, you know, after this last fire we had, I had a few phone calls and a few concerns from the citizens, and one of the questions that was presented to me that I emailed was, how is the fire department paid? And
Did you not get the copy that you give out tonight?
no,
It's in the envelope
That
with your
envelope
name on
that you
it.
had, it has the answers to all the questions that you had there.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
She made a copy for everybody.
They were dropped off at City Hall with everybody's name on them.
Also, the questions they can answer?
Yes.
those questions? Okay.
All the answers are there.
Okay, I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. All I got was about the pickup truck.
Was it from,
It was dropped off by the fire chief.
yeah, he didn't address it. We didn't get that one.
Didn't get that one.
He just give us, the truck to tour.
I just think that everybody had it. You want a copy? This copy here?
Yeah,
I was just thinking that everybody had it in their packet.
No,
I'm sorry. But it answers, I think all the questions you had on it.
Yep, looks like it. I can read these aloud if the mayor will allow me. I can read these aloud.
I don't have no problem with that.
Okay. First question was, how is the fire department paid? Are these paid positions, and if so, how are they paid? Does the city or county pay for their salaries? The answer to that question is the only paid position for the fire department is the fire chief, and he is paid $300 a year by the city. Everyone else is volunteer. Question 2 that I had was, who is responsible for the water usage that the fire department would use to put out a fire? Is it just absorbed by the city as a cost or charged to the homeowner or their insurance? The answer to that question is the water used by the fire department to put out fires is absorbed by the city. No one is charged for the water. All emergency calls within the city limits are free of charge because of municipal department funded through taxes. Calls outside the city and the fire district, the fire department provides coverage for may have the insurance charge depending on the nature of the call. Next question I had was, what is the chain of command with the fire department? The answer to that question is the chain of command for the fire department is as follows: firefighter, lieutenant, captain, assistant chief, fire chief, and mayor. Next question, does the chief of police's authority supersede the fire department chief? The answer to that question is the police chief and fire chief work close together on many different emergencies. If the fire department responds to a call assisting the police department, the police chief is in charge of his scene. The fire chief is in charge of the members of the fire department while on scene. On a fire department call, the fire chief is in charge of the scene. The police chief may respond to assist with traffic, scene security, crowd control, assist in investigation, and more. Joint command may be used on these scenes. Next question was, what is the process for electing fire chief and who is involved? The fire chief is elected by the members of the fire department. Each year the election is held by the department in May for the fire chief, assistant chief, secretary, and treasurer. When a suspected arson is committed, who is responsible for contacting the fire marshal? Is the case immediately and completely turned over to the fire marshal, or is the police department responsible for investigating? The fire chief is responsible for investigating all suspicious fires. Our fire chief is a certified fire investigator through the Missouri State Fire Marshal Office. If there is a need for the Missouri State Fire Marshal investigator to respond, then the on-scene incident command will request them through dispatch. If the fire chief finds a fire to be arson, the police chief will be contacted and the investigation will be worked together. In the event of a fatal fire, the Missouri State Fire Marshal Office will be immediately contacted. Who is responsible for leveling and cleanup of condemned properties, abandoned and personal? Does the county take care of things of this nature? Are there fees, or does the county absorb those costs? As a fire chief, I do not have the answer for this.
Let me answer that.
Yeah.
Normally, it's the responsibility of the homeowner. We do have an ordinance in play that where insurance companies should have that the city receives, I don't remember the percentage right now, a certain percentage of that insurance, and it's withheld from the property owner until the cleanup's complete, and then he gets the full balance. And if that doesn't happen, then, but if there's no insurance or anything involved, then it's the property owner's responsibility.
Last question is, what are the city ordinances referring to building new structures? How many structures can be built on one property? Is it limited to single-family dwellings? Who approves new building construction? As fire chief, I do not know all the codes for this. As fire chief, I would like to assist with new construction inspection to make sure proper fire alarms are installed correctly and present. And on commercial rent property, make sure they provide fire alarms and fire extinguishers. This is good information. Please let the fire chief know that we appreciate this information.
We, as far as the city is concerned, have no ordinances governing that. In the past, councils had adopted the Boca Code, and if you ever look at the Boca Code, it's really regulated towards big cities like St. Louis. I think the reason that it was done is because it does cover a lot that we have. But I don't think that's been kept up to date, because Boca changes every so often and they update, but the council has never moved forward to try to adopt it, which it's really hard, would be really hard to enforce a lot of that stuff. So all we have in play, as far as inspections is concerned, is for safety and health for these houses. We can't regulate. I do have copies of some Sykes ordinances, but we don't have ordinance where we could regulate. If you had a big hole in your roof and it's a big eyesore, we're lacking an ordinance in order to be able to be to make someone do that. As far as the only other thing we have is a condemnation ordinance, and that's basically if a house is determined unsafe, uninhabitable to live in, then it can be condemned, and a person is given the right to get that up to standard, and if he can get it up to standard where it be livable conditions, and he can show that, then the condemnation can be.
Heather, do you mind to scan and email this to me? Would that be thank you.
Just one copy.
I got a scan, then I need.
That's all I've got.
Carl?
It's the same old stuff I grab about the trailer house there on Cole, and Michael Roberts, now getting his trailers strapped up and stuff, and I don't know.
Well, I'm about to give up on the county as far as them coming down here.
I'll tell you.
I did have, I can't think of his name, Charlie Breeden's half brother. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anyhow, he has an excavator too. He come down actually during the flood and helped too. And he's always told me that if we needed any help in the future, let us know. So I guess you can go ahead and contact him, because the county's not been in contact with me about, they told me that they was working back in the first part of the year, that they was working in Dexter, and when they come through here, that they'd come by and take care of it, and they haven't done it. So anyhow, I'll look into that, see what I can get done. Anything else, Carl?
I don't guess.
All right, Joe?
Yes, sir. I went down, Carla called me the other day to come down. They'd had a sewer problem there between that lift station and the Pentecostal church. And the sewer jetter is, the pump on it is leaking. There's a bolt missing and it's not pressurizing. It's supposed to run 4,000 PSI, and they could get it, I think the highest I saw it was 5, maybe 600 pounds square inch. So I contacted the manufacturer, US Jetter, for that. They're out of, I think, Marietta, Georgia, and spoke to a gentleman by the name of Mark. He said that the rebuild kit for the high pressure and low pressure side was $724. But for that missing bolt, since it's made in Italy, the factory shut down for the entire month of August that produces that stuff. The distributor looked around and couldn't find that bolt, washer, and the two bushings anywhere in stock in the United States. So there's a minimum 4 to 8 week lead time on that, he said. So Carl called me back down there a different time when Matthews brought their sewer jetter down. And I was talking to a gentleman from the city of Matthews, and I don't know his name, but he said that a company out of Rochester, Illinois called COE Equipment, C-O-E Equipment, services their jetter. So I phoned COE Equipment, and I talked to a gentleman, his name's Marty Coe, and he wanted me to send him the photographs that I had of the jetter that had the serial number, VIN, all that. And he looked it up, and these are the cost estimate that he came up with. And like he says here in the estimate, it could be a little more and it could be less. I think pretty much page 3 is the breakdown. And now this is with them coming down here and picking the unit up. And because he said this is not something that they can repair in the field. And the gentleman from down in Georgia said that this is something that you don't really, unless you know what you're doing and have the tools, this isn't something that you just want to take apart on your own and try to put back together, because the way that pump unit's made, once you put those seals and everything back in there, once it's torqued down, that once you take it apart, you've got to have all new seals and everything. So I just went ahead and got a cost estimate, wanted to bring it before the board, let you guys look this over. And when I spoke to Marty Cole on the phone today, he told me that they would not have that bolt and bushing and washer in stock either. So it's still going to be 4 to 8 week lead time before that company over in Italy that produced the unit.
So we need to probably then wait till we get the boat before we do anything else, because it's not gonna do us good to rebuild it, is it?
Well, no, with the bolt missing,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and this is something that, talking to Mark and to Marty Cole, this is something that you really need to know what you're doing before
Yeah.
you tear into it.
Did he mention it, as far as, is there any cost as far as coming after it? or-
Yes, sir, it's on page 3, you see there?
I haven't set that right.
It's the service fee. Pickup unit and deliver back to customer, 258 miles each way, would be $590.
Okay, it's in total cost there.
Yes, sir, it's cumulative total.
I'm just curious, what would a brand new one cost?
$30,000.
How many?
Yeah, I forgot what Matthew said that theirs cost. Theirs is quite a bit larger than ours.
Well, yeah, for the one Matthew's got, it's 49,000. Kathy said when they bought this one brand new for the city, it's 25,000 what they gave you.
Anyhow, and this is, I guess, something that we need to really consider.
Well, it's a vital piece of
Oh,
equipment
yeah,
for the
it is.
community.
But have we got this boat on order? Do you know folks got that?
No,
So-
nothing, no moves has been made on any of this, with the exception of me phoning them and getting cost estimate.
Then what we need to do is get that boat on order. Once we get hold of that boat, then we can deal with these people, so that way we'll have a boat. Either that or they can get it.
Or are they ordering the boat?
Well, if we decided to go with them,
Yeah.
They'll do.
then they would,
Take care of that.
because he has the broken bolt and everything included in his estimate.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be turnkey.
Okay.
With them.
We either buy the gold and risk doing it ourselves.
Oh, no,
or-
I'm like you, I wouldn't want to try to do.
Yeah, and it's not just the bolt, washer, and 2 bushings that's missing, it's the high pressure valves and the low pressure valves.
Do we have to advertise that?
That's something I don't know.
As far as,
I think it's a specialty thing.
But he did say that they were his company was the service district for Missouri. Now, out of the manual that Bo let me get, there's a phone number, but this company it's listed for Missouri, is out of Nebraska. And they said they only do north and northwest Missouri.
Yes.
They don't come this far
It
down.
says here that he's the only authorized dealer in Missouri and Illinois.
so that would probably eliminate the advertising. Well, do we want to try to take action then on this evening?
Well, I just wanted to bring it before the board's attention because his quote here, and like he states here, that, it could be more, it could be less. His quote was $3,540. Now that includes the $590 for them to come down and pick it up, bring it to their shop, repair it, and then deliver it back to them.
And I know you said it's turnkey. Do we have any kind of time frame for that happens?
No, the only time frame I can give you is the leeway of that
Boat.
bolt. The bolt, bushing, and washer kit is minimum 4 to 8 weeks out.
And I guess my thinking here is that any delay is just gonna make it that much longer. As far as the boat is concerned, so.
Now, what we could do is, I could call Mark from US Jetter down in Georgia and find out what a comparable unit costs brand new, but I just don't see it in the cards right now.
Yeah, well, you're right. you know, and probably what we might wind up with a good used one, that we might wind up with the same situation, kind of like buying a used car, you know, it's good for a little while, and then you don't know what you're gonna get there at.
Understood. Okay, next item on order is, I'd ask in the work session to have ordinances drawn up for the transfer of municipal court to the circuit. The board passed this last year with 2/3 majority. So what we need, I want to know why the ordinances haven't been drawn up. Because, you know, here's the fact of the matter. The court, just between the court clerk and the judge, cost us a minimum of $17,000 a year for those two employees. We're only prosecuting 4 to 5 tickets a month when we're having court. And it's, you know, what's more important to this community? A court that only prosecutes 4 or 5 tickets a month? When the taxpayers of this town, we already pay for the municipal, or for the circuit judge, we already pay for the court clerk down there through our taxes. We might as well utilize them, in my opinion, so we can have that money in our pockets. Because as you can see, you just transferred $24,200 out of the reserve to cover negative balance in 3 different accounts and for past due bills. So we had 6 ordinances that were proposed tonight, but yet we didn't get the municipal court ordinance. So I would like to see before the board ordinances to transfer the municipal court to the circuit.
There again, I think that needs to be put in the motion form so that can be drafted.
I make a motion, we have ordinances drawn up to transfer the municipal court to the circuit court.
Second.
All in favor? Chris and Carl,
I'm still thinking.
I'll be there.
you're a nay?
Is it gonna, how much is more is it gonna cost to move all this stuff down?
It cost us nothing to transfer the court.
That's what I'm looking at.
Every small city that I spoke to said it's the best thing they've ever done.
Tell me something, Carl.
But like I said, I just hate to spend a bunch of money running back and forth and not make no,
Say nay.
well,
I think we can table it, bring it back to me.
So that's a no for you too?
All right, what else you got?
I'd sent the city clerk numerous emails, starting after last month's board meeting. I just want to know, has anyone directed you not to respond to my email? I'm asking Heather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Concerning Joe Fox, I can't make him do anything, so
No.
I don't know what you want me
Concerning,
to do.
I asked for you to put on this month's itinerary bids for the police car tires. To put it on the itinerary for us to vote to get new tires for the police car. Jackie said the tires are in bad shape. I sent you
We
an
get
email.
state prices, they're already got competitive bids by the state.
That's state bid.
Well, then, present the bids.
He did.
Where?
They're online.
No, I don't need to go hunting them down. She can provide them to us. I asked for the last 4 payments on the water project. The Mayor Leahy signed off on. I asked for the number of tickets that's been written this year. I asked for the engineer's certificate of completion on this water project. And I never received a response on any of them. So my question is, has anyone directed you, either the mayor or the chief of police directed you not to respond to my email?
Our city attorney,
So Joe Fox told you not to respond to me?
unless a sunshine request is provided and the information and my time is paid for.
I'm sorry.
You're kidding, right?
No, I'm not.
Well, then we need that in writing from Joe Fox, because that is not.
How about you make everything a motion and let's vote on it, and then Joe's gonna have to appear?
All
or-
right. Well, then I
That's
can
what-
do that.
That's what you need to do.
I make a motion that City Attorney Joe Fox respond to my questions. And
I thought you wanted him here.
I want him here too, but I want it in writing. Because I asked for this on June 9th of last month. I make a motion that Joe Fox provide answers in writing to RSMO 250.150 combined sewage and water yearly audit requirements. Please have City Attorney Joe Fox provide the Board of Aldermen in writing the legalities of the city's failure to perform yearly audits. I make a motion for City Attorney Joe Fox to provide to the Board of Aldermen in writing the legalities of the collector failure to collect water bills according to ordinance. I would like this in writing, the legalities of this, and any recommendations Joe may have about turning the outstanding balances over to an outside collection agency. I would like in writing from City Attorney Joe Fox to provide the Board of Aldermen his opinion on the judge's salary being out of compliance with City Ordinance 434. I would like on Chief Hayes' pay, I would like Joe Fox to provide to the Board of Aldermen in writing his opinion of the legalities of Chief Hayes being paid to run the water plant. I would like City Attorney Joseph Fox to provide to the Board of Aldermen in writing his opinion explaining the legality of overpayment and the stipulations detailed in Ordinance 435 on the mayor's salary. And I would also like City Attorney Joe Fox to provide to the Board of Aldermen in writing what Heather just stated, that she is not to answer a duly elected Board of Aldermen's emails requesting information and documents. And I would also like to make a motion for Joe Fox to be at next month's board meeting.
You have a motion on the floor?
I'll second that. I think we deserve that.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's gonna cost us anyway, no matter what.
Okay. All right, what else?
On the corner of North Scott and Laurel, I brought up in last month's board meeting, the concrete piles that's there on the corner. Those piles are still there. The city dug that up and left those piles on that man's property. He told me that he can't mow around them and he's got kids that play out there. Need to get that cleaned up.
That was Laurel, what?
North Scott. Does anyone know when the ordinances are going online?
They just recently sent a pretty good document for review, for the board to review. Heather just got that in, I don't know, not been a week ago. I told her for her to review it, and that way we can get it copied and get it to the board, so the board can review it. And I don't know, a lot of that's just questions about what we want to do, so that way they can move forward. So that's where we're at.
Okay. on the corner of North Scott, and I believe it's Maple Street. It's a purple house. There's a couch that's been sitting in the front yard for quite some time. That's a violation of ordinance 620. Need to get that taken care of. On South Bates, there's a house on the corner of South Bates and I think it's Maple, or what is that street that runs east and west? Myrtle. Thank you. There's a refrigerator that's been set out on that front porch of that house for over 2 years. I don't think anybody even lives in the house. That also is a violation of ordinance 620. And my final order of business is I would like a blank work order emailed to the Board of Aldermen. Yes, sir.
You want that scan for you two guys? As far as Carl's in the office about every day, and he can pick one up.
That'd be great.
And if he wants one, well, he can get one. He comes in there with Jackie, so if you guys want your scan, what you scan. Okay, move on. I guess Jackie stepped out. And also in this packet, the fire chief didn't get back, but I think we do have some representation from them. Did you get a chance to review what our fire chief was talking about? I think he brought that to our attention at last council meeting, and he didn't actually have no real dollar figures, and we requested him to get that. He wasn't able to attend tonight, so he sent these figures here. I don't know if necessarily we need to take action on it tonight. You can ask the fireman here, or even if you want to take action on it. This is on one of the two bumpers that we're talking about here.
Oh, it's on our rescue truck.
Rescue truck. Okay.
Which allows us to run rescue out on the highways, rural routes, wherever we're called.
Do we not have two rescue trucks?
Yes, we have two. We have an ambulance that was donated from Matthew that we have set up for a medical truck to get in first aid and stuff like that. This truck here was donated from Scott County Road. It is a full drive F Super Duty. It's got a walk-in rescue bed that we would like to use for extrications and any kind of tech rescue that we need.
Have y'all talked to Kenny Schaefer at Wilburn, the assistant fire chief down there?
I'm not sure who all names to talk to. I know he's called us about every mechanic around here.
He's the one that put us on that guy out of St. Louis for the pump on the truck, and it didn't cost us much. And he has a repair shop down there. I'll talk to him tomorrow and see if he can come look at it.
And you guys get that?
Kenny Schaefer.
James, you know, he's gonna make contact there, see what else we can do. Is that all right with everybody?
So we can table this till the September meeting?
That's what we want. All right. But I didn't get Jackie. Do you have anything, Jackie?
I don't have anything necessarily in my department, but just a suggestion, y'all's overlooking the deposit fees for commercial property. You may keep in mind that, and as far as when y'all's just trying to figure out what to raise those fees, whether that business needs a standard residential size meter, whether they got an inch meter, inch and a half meter, 2-inch meter, or a 4-inch meter. Because that's going to fluctuate in meter cost if the city has to purchase that.
So you're saying we need to base that
On meter size.
meter size is something that we need to consider. If you have anything else?
That's all I've got.
Okay.
Well, on, just one quick thing, on commercial meters, is it, the car wash has a 2-inch meter? Is there anything else that had
Buckeyes,
Buckeyes?
this school building has a 2 or 4 inch meter, I'm not really sure.
So if we get a truck stop or something,
They're gonna need a big meter. The dollar store, I think, only uses a standard residential size meter because they just clean.
Okay.
So I mean, that's something you may want to keep in mind.
how much does a 2 and a 4-inch meter cost? Just an estimate, I have no idea how much a residential meter
Anywhere to 5 to 1,500 for 2 inches.
for a 2, so a 4 will be more than that.
And that depends on if that business needs a high flow, low flow meter too. And then once you get up above that, then they're required to have an RPZ valve that has to be inspected every year.
So we need to come up with some meter costs so we can review that when we make that adjustment. All right, and you said you had nothing as far as the department's concerned? I had one sign up, Evelyn, you had,
Yep. Okay, guys. People coming to our town and living in abandoned cars. They're living in old houses. They're living in them sheds, even though they passed the city ordinance that people couldn't live in sheds. There's still people moving sheds in here and letting people live in them. And they're living in campers all over town, so just check it out. You can find them. They're coming here to live in all of these because they don't have anywhere else to live. People that come to our town need an address. We need to know what they're doing here. They need an address or provide us with a relative they're staying with or something. Because people are just coming over here doing whatever the hell they want to over here. It's the truth, guys. Now, then people lived in that abandoned car for a while. Jackie was called. Don't know if you ever went down and talked to them or not, Jackie. But it wasn't a few days later that woman was murdered down there. And there's enough is enough. Okay, and something else. How come Judy Green never comes to a city board meeting?
I don't know that it's required of.
I mean, people ask questions that Judy needs to answer, and you usually say, well, I'll get with her and I'll get back to you, but we never know the answers. So, that's all I got to say about that one. And Mr. Henson, did he sign up to talk the last board meeting there was? Because he made a big old racket over jumping over Joey. Was he signed up to talk?
I think the board meeting's over for it, as far as I know.
It don't matter, he was still in this room.
But we was closed as far as the board's concerned.
But you still shouldn't be able to jump on a city councilman.
You're right.
You know, that's disrespectful. It was very disrespectful and very disrupting to the whole group. Okay, that's all.
I'd like to comment to that first section. I know one of the sheds that you're probably talking about, we're working on with the court side of it,
On the what?
with the court, and a set of campers. I know of one set. If you know of any more, then
Is it that late down there? There's lots of campers in there. Do people live in those?
I believe there's one party living in one of them. Those are being addressed, but if you know of any more, let me know, because I haven't seen any other campers in town. The
Well-
only thing I have seen is we have a couple of houses that we're working on, and we probably need to start issuing them citations again that are living in these residences that have failed inspections.
I would like to see the cities try to get block grants again to fix up some of the older homes again. We used to do it, guys. We used to do it. Go around, do a survey, go over there and apply for block grants and extra.
Now, we have a city ordinance that states that you can't live in a residence that has not passed their safety inspection. We do have a couple that's still living in those houses.
And there's a lot of things that you mentioned there that we have no ordinances to cover that. And you know, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that if you went down there and run somebody off, and you wind up with them in court,
What-
And you
these
gotta have
people
leg to
don't
stand on.
have a place to live, they don't have the money to sue you.
Well, I'm not talking about that, but they get released and get nothing out of it because you have no ordinance to govern it.
But Pete, let them pull a car over your yard and park it over there in your
I
yard.
understand where you're coming from, you know,
Those
and
people
I,
didn't live in that car, they stayed in that car during the day, and they lived with,
They had on blankets over that car.
they stayed in the car to get out of the house during the day, they didn't live in that car.
They have slept in the car for a week.
Yeah, and they threw trash everywhere, it's still laying down there with
That was
food,
the children of the family.
food,
Got involved in
crackers.
it too.
And it was sad what happened.
Yes, it was.
I knew Miss Dottie, I went to school with her, known her most of my life. What happened to her, she did not deserve it.
have something there.
Did we ever decide on what we was gonna do with this information that Joey brought to the board from co-equipment on the pump? We gonna,
So Jackie,
I'd
what
like for
about
us to do
the
something
little
that
shed that
come
moved
to
at
me.
the other end of the lot?
That'll give
There's
everybody a
people
chance
standing
to
there.
review, observe, so I don't know if we can see.
table it?
Yeah,
They've been referred to the court.
all right, give me a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
In a second.
That's second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, you said what she mentioned about getting on